Lesson 12. Social Institutions. Introduction. Culture is the sum total of the social processes and products to human society. Social institutions are one of the products of culture. They reflect the maturing ways of culture and grow up through the folkways and mores. Major social institutions represent the universal society arrangements. That is, they are found in all types of societies. Institution helps to maintain order and control in society. A scientific study of social institutions is basic to the understanding of culture and society. They become synonymous with culture and society. The nature of social institutions. Institutions are generally defined as certain enduring and accepted forms of procedure, governing the relations between individuals and groups. According to C. A. Elwood, institutions are habitual ways of living together, which have been sanctioned, systematized, and established by the authority of communities. Society recognizes and approves these ways of living or forms of procedure. They are the direct outcome of planning. Institutions are agencies of permanent human associations. They are the wheels on which human society marches on. H. E. Barnes describes them as the family. It is explained as the strongholds of social life. The family as social institution grows out of necessity and contingency. The term institution is an abstraction. For example, we see abstractions involved in such nouns as government or behavior, and we cannot see any of these things. The words stand for ideas. Institutions are accepted not merely by all who participate in them but by all who share the common orientation. For example, a father plays his role in the family loyalty because of the values and the importance of the family. Legal sanctions do not compel the father to play his role in the family. The word institution also refers to practices to established ways of doing things. The government, marriage and family are called institution, although they are practices rather than group. In this sense, the family is and it conducts itself in institutionalized ways. Groups which promote and protect such interests as cultural values and social order are the most important institutions. For example, education and equal justice are Indian values. Schools and courts are institutions that promote and defend these values. Modern life is not as simple as that of ancient times. It is complex. The complexity has been produced by our growing and different needs. The needs are self-expression. These needs are met by social institution. Social representation is that social structure of society, for example, the Indian caste system. Human society with the help of social institution organizes, directs, and executes the various activities to satisfy human needs. Social institutions are simply social habits. For example, the habit of shaving in the morning, taking a siesta or uttering the last prayer before going to bed. Habits are systematized, instituted, or established by groups. They are slowly acquired by individuals in society. They are acquired by constant repetition of acts. Institutions may also be defined as habitual ways of living together which have been sanctioned, systematized, and established by the authority of communities. A social institution is a complex of concepts and attitudes regarding the ordering of a particular class of human relationships, for example, family relationships. The concepts and attitudes are condensed into mores, traditions, and codes. Characteristics of institutions. 1. Institution has some definite objectives. 2. There is a symbol of an institution which can either be material or non-material. 3. Every institution has some rules which must be compulsorily obeyed by individuals. 4. The institution has definite procedures which are formulated on the basis of customs and dogmas. 5. Institutions depend upon the collective activities of men. 6. Institutions are the means of controlling individuals. 7. Institutions are more stable than other means of social control. 8. Institutions are formed for the fulfillment of primary needs. Social importance of the institutions. Institutions are socially important because they transfer cultural elements from one generation to another. For example, the father of the family teaches his son and daughters about family way of life, economic way of life, and religious way of life. A social institution introduces unity in human behavior. For example, in a Hindu family, its members follow the standards approved by society. That is, the norm of the family is strictly followed. Thus it establishes unity of behavior among its members. A social institution also controls the conduct and guides men. For example, there are laws to control the conduct of an unsocial and antisocial act. Similarly, there are habits and customs to guide men in society. The following considerations must be mentioned with reference to the social importance of the institutions. Knowledge. Knowledge, belief, moral ideas and modes of behavior are transferred from one generation to another through the medium of institution. For example, knowledge about society, belief in God, truth and the way of behavior are taught to the younger generation by the older. This teaching chiefly takes place through the medium of institutions such as the family, religion and education. It helps the young to find solutions for the problems faced by them. Institution. Institution indicates the right path to man and exercise control upon his activities. For example, in the family, an individual learns his duty and his unsocial acts are controlled by norms. The society. The society by means of the institutions compel people collectively to work in conformity with culture. Primary and secondary institutions. The primary institutions are also called as basic or fundamental institution. They grow spontaneously, such as the institutions like family, property and government. As civilization developed, secondary institutions arose. They are also called as subordinate institution, which is found within the larger field of primary. For example, government is a primary institution. But a republic is a deliberate form of government and a secondary institution. Property is a primary institution. Inheritance, attacks are secondary institutions. The primary institutions are far more important than the secondary institutions, although the latter are much more numerous at present. The institutions that are connected with agriculture and industry are the most basic primary institutions. The family as a primary social institution grows out of the drive for self-perpetuation and the sexual needs. Though the family exists for the purpose of procreation, it has often contributed to other institutional activities such as industry, religion, and education. The same primary institutions are found among all people at any given level of civilizations, for example, property, family, religion, and education in urban, rural, and primitive civilization. This is because mankind constitute one animal species and are alike in their physical makeup. In other words, the human factor is a constant. The diversity in basic primary institutions can be understood only when we study the folkways of the people. Kinds of social institutions. The origin and function of major social institution is related to man and society. Folkways and mores are considered as a basic step to the maturing of society's institutional arrangement. There are 6 major types of social institutions in society. Family, sex behavior and family relationships. This develops in the institution we call the home and family. Sex behavior is regulated in the family by folkways and mores. The head of the family, the father or the eldest male, tries to maintain cordial relations among its members. Labor and economy. Another is labor and economic process. This is the institution which we call industry and work. The labor force is organized with a view to increase production and the standard of life of the work by certain rules and regulations. There are certain approved ways and means to improve our economic processes such as production, consumption, and distribution. Religion. A third is worship and the supernatural. This becomes in society the institutions of religion. For example, people worship different gods to get bliss. Human sacrifice is a supernatural belief. Education. A fourth is the search for truth and adaptation. This institution is called as the school of education. We send children to school to know truth and to adapt to role and status in society through education. Education institutions shape the personality of an individual. Government. The fifth social institution is law and control. This is called as the state and government. The government maintains law and order in society by controlling and regulating the social behavior of individuals. Community. The sixth is the institution of community. It deals with the mutual interests, recreation, and organization of society. Interdependence of social institutions. We mean by interdependence that a social institution like the family is dependent on other social institutions in society for its existence and function. Example, an individual works in a bank, which is an economic institution to help the others for their functioning and existence. An institution cannot exist by itself, just as watertight compartment. This organism and interrelational aspects helps us to understand the complexity of society and its development. They reflect the factors of change and of balance and equilibrium in society. These interrelationships are eloquent testimony to the unity of all societies. They also help us to know the inseparable relationships between the individual and society. The individual has three important functions in society in relation to social institutions. As a biological organism, he brings to society certain equipment at birth. He is conditioned by his social environment. He establishes contact with other individuals in society and is greatly influenced by them. His character is affected by his own actions and by what he does for and to society. These help us to understand the close relationship between the individuals and society. Society should produce strong individuals with an integrated personality. We realize the importance of the interrelationship of the individual and society when we study the relation of social institutions, agencies and activities for protection and development of the individual in society. A major function of the institutions is to conserve the individual and to act as individual wants the service of more than one institution in the fast-changing technological civilization. Each institution represents a particular department of life of the individual. The institutions, therefore, represent and reflect nature and the needs of the individual. These institutions should serve the individual for his adequate development in society. Social institutions change due to various factors such as technology and organization. They should help the individuals to change himself to move with. For example, in earlier days the family imparted religious education to its members. At present, special agencies present the religious education. Similarly, recreation was cosmetic. Now it has been commercialized. The trend in modern society illustrates the unity of the individual with society and the essential unity of the institutions. Technical assistance should be given to institutions. Therefore, there are social agencies. Besides, society becomes more and more complex in its interrelations. The specific needs of the individual can be satisfied only through technical assistance. For instance, there are national agencies of playground and recreational associations. Similarly, national agencies have developed in the fields of child labor, child welfare and child education. These agencies are considered as a working laboratory for the study of institutions. The functions of the institutions are increasing as civilization advances. We may like to know of the special functions of each of the institutions in relations to the needs of the individual. Some of the old functions disappear. New agencies have come to take the place of old institutions such as caste. In the family, we see new agencies to train people to work on problems of health and sanitation. In the field of education, the functions of the school have been increasing. Schools teach reading, writing, and mathematics. Besides, they have budget, administration, canteen, health inspection, playing grounds, and libraries. Thus, the traditional functions of education have been experiencing transformation. By adjusting itself to the new needs and wants of the changing times, the institutions become modern. They continue to exist in one form or other. In the religious institution, we stress the importance of its social service. The increasing functions of economic institutions in recent years appear quite impressive. The problems and needs of working people are taken care of by trade unions. There are different kinds of unions for businessmen and professional people. There are labor courts to settle the disputes between the workers and the management. In political institutions, many private organizations and agencies have come up to guard the individual and to help him in many ways. There are service agencies of the central and state governments. For example, women's club and civics committees. Institutions and associations. The distinction between associations and institutions is of capital importance in sociology. Associations are the matter of which social life is made, whereas the corresponding institutions are the dynamic element which gives life and activity to them. Associations are things, institutions are modes and ways. We are born and live in associations, but we move and act through institutions. Though both these elements of social life are interrelated, yet the attributes of one are not the attributes of the other. Sociology is more concerned with institutions than with associations. Institutions express themselves through associations when an association serves public rather than private interests and does so in an accepted way. It may be called an institution. The main distinctions between institutions and association are the following. 1. Institutions are constituted of laws and systems. Associations are comprised of human beings. 2. Associations have form and are concrete, whereas institutions have no form and are abstract. 3. Institutions evolve while associations are formed. 4. Associations lack the stability of institutions. 5. Institution is a procedure of working, while an association is an organized group. 6. Institution indicates procedure of work and association membership. Man is a member not of an institution, but of an association. This difference between association and institution can best be understood by the following table. 1. Institution is formless and abstract. Association is concrete. 2. Institution is evolved. Association is constituted. 3. Institution is permanent. Association is comparatively impermanent. 4. Institution is a procedure of working. Association is organized group. 5. Institution is comprised of laws and system. Association is comprised of human beings. 6. Institution is indicative of a method of working. Association is indicative of membership. 7. Institution aims at fulfillment of primary needs. Association aims at other kinds of definite objectives. 8. Institution is dependent upon human activities. Association is based upon mutual cooperation. 9. Institution has a definite structure. Association has no specific structure. 10. institution has laws based upon racial customs and dogmas. Association is laws formed after national consideration. 11. Institution is compulsory observance of laws. Association has limited observance of laws. 12. Institution is a symbol, not a name. Association has a definite name. Difference between institution and community. 1. Institution is an organization of laws and procedure. Community is a group of human beings. 2. Institution is formed for the fulfillment of certain needs, whereas community is a group of people living in a definite locality sharing a common life. 3. Institution is abstract. Community is concrete. Hence, people are members of groups of people living in a particular locality, sharing a common life. 4. Every institution is related to a particular sphere of its community and it is related to social life as a whole. 5. Institution is dependent upon collective activity. Community is dependent upon mutual relations. 6. The structure of institution encompasses worker festivals and ritual besides social relations. The structure of community is inclusive of groups of human beings, community sentiment, and social relations. Difference between institution and association. The difference between institution and association can be clearly understood by considering the institution of marriage. Certain customs, traditions and rituals are found associated with marriage in every society. For example, the custom of wearing a ring, the tradition of wearing tilak on the forehead and ritual uttered by priest. These are established and approved by society. It is compulsory for every member of society to obey them. A regulation of the sex desire and the institution of marriage for the development of society is equally necessary, and the institution of marriage is found in every society. But it may differ in form. Marriage is an institution that is not created at any particular time or by some people. It develops according to rituals and traditions. The institution of marriage or society is the result of evolution over thousands of years. It has a definite procedure, some specific laws and a system. It has no form and is abstract. It has symbols. In Hindu marriage, tying of thali, putting vermilion on the forehead and going round the holy fire are some of the symbols of the institution of marriage. Performance of these rituals means that the marriage has been performed. We shall compare the institution of marriage with an association. The recreational club or a debating club has form and also concrete. It has a particular location where its members meet. The aim of the club is the fulfillment of secondary needs, not primary ones. A club is impermanent. Members can leave it if they so desire. It is based upon mutual cooperation. It has no delimit structure like the institution of marriage. The laws of a club enforce obedience only as long as an individual is a member of the club. Associations are created by men for dispatch of common business and for the regulation of the members to one another. This is done by rules and procedures. Rules and procedures of associations are created by men. Such forms are distinctively institutions. Every association has, with respect to its interest, its characteristic institutions. The temple has its modes of worship, its rituals. The family has marriage. The state has its own peculiar institutions such as representative government and legislative procedures. We belong to associations, not to institutions. Sometimes we confuse institution with association because the same terms in a different reference may mean one or the other. There is no difficulty deciding according to our definition that the temple is an association and pray an institution. Trade union is an association and collective bargaining an institution. The family is an association and monogamy an institution. If we are considering something as an organized group, it is a membership. Institution denotes a mode or means of service. When we consider a college as a body of teachers and students, we are selecting its associational aspect, but when we regard it as an educational system, we are selecting its institutional feature. We do not belong to marriage or property system, but we do belong to families and to states. Comparison of association and institution. 1. Family is an association. Institutions are marriage, the home, inheritance. Interests are sex, home, parentage. 2. College is an association. Institutions are lecture and examination system, graduation. Interests are learning, vocational preparation. 3. Business is an association. Institutions are bookkeeping system and share capital. Interests are profits. 4. Trade is an association. Institutions are collective bargaining, strike, picketing. Interests are job security, wage rates, conditions of work. 5. Temple is an association. Institutions are creed, communion of worship. Interests are office, power, government policy. 6. State is an association. Institutions are constitution, legal code, forms of government. Interests are general regulations of the social order. Summary. Institution brings a cultural harmony in the society. Society seems to be unified whole due to the verification and harmony brought in by various institutions. At every step in the society, man looks for various norms in existence. Association is an artificial creation, community is a natural growth. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe and share.